Hi, Samuel Leeds here, and I want to show you and tell you exactly the difference between bad debt and good debt. Because if you can get your head around this and apply what I teach you in this video, it could be the difference between you being very, very wealthy or financially crippled and wrapped up in bills and awful, awful financial things. So every investor needs to understand the difference between these two types of debt. So good debt. What is good debt? Well, let me give you an example. A buy-to-let mortgage, if you take out, say, £75,000 to buy a £100,000 house, and your mortgage payments are £200 a month, you have to pay that, right? No! You don't pay that, your tenant pays it. And your tenant pays more. Good debt is not paid by you, good debt is paid by somebody else. You see, the definition of good debt is money that you borrow to put into an asset. And the definition of an asset is something that puts money in your back pocket every single month. What happens if it goes wrong? Well, if you borrow money to buy an asset and it doesn't really work out as you hoped, then you sell the asset and you pay the debt off. No problem. Now, bad debt is when you borrow money to buy a liability. Can you just sell the liability and pay off the debt? No, because the liability is usually gone. I'll give you an example. If you borrow money to buy a holiday and then you have the holiday and then 6 months later, you've then got to start paying off the debt. You can't sell that holiday because you've done it. It's gone. It's finished. If you borrow money even to buy a car, the car, unless it's a collection, the car will shrink in value. As last time I checked, the car will not give you any rent. So you can't sell the car to then pay off the debt. But if you're buying an asset, the asset's going to make you money each month. And worst case, if it stops making you money, you then sell it and pay the debt off. So that's the difference between good debt and bad debt. Let me give you some examples of how this might look and how this might operate. So firstly, good debt. Let's say that you borrow £10,000 off a friend and you put that down on a deposit on a house and you give your friend back 10%. So you say, friend, I want £10,000, I'll give you 10% guaranteed return on investment. But the property that you buy is giving you 20% return on investment. That means that you and your friend are both going to make the same profit each month as one another, even though he put all the money in, but you make the same amount of profit. And you own the house. He doesn't own the house. We call that a win-win. You've got a big win because you own the house, you put in nothing. You're making money the same as he's making on a month-by-month basis. He put in all the money because you've leveraged good debt. It's also good for him because 10% is like a lot better than the bank. So that's good debt. But the problem is people think in their minds, no, debt's bad. Debt's bad. My parents told me that debt's bad. But saying debt is bad is moronic because are we talking about good debt or are we talking about bad debt? It's like saying people are bad. No, there's some good people, there's some bad people. The reason people get so scared is because the worst kind of bad debt is when you borrow money to pay off bills. Because if you can't afford to live and then you borrow to then live, how are you going to afford to then pay that debt off? Which means that you're going to be even worse off financially. And it's a downward spiral. And the really sad thing and the scary thing is that is exactly what the banks want. They want broke people in debt, struggling to pay it off, having to borrow more money. That's what they want. And if you go to a bank and you say to a bank, hey, can I please borrow £10,000, it's going to be for a deposit on a house, they'll say, no, that's too risky. But then if you say to the same bank and the same manager, hey, I'm looking for £10,000 to get married, they'll say, no problem. What? So it's too risky to put that £10,000 down to buy a house, a really good investment property, even though you're a real smart investor, but to put it into a wedding is fine. Something's not right there. Something is absolutely not right. And the reason is because they want you to spend badly. They want you to invest poorly so that you are then dependent on them, and that is how they make money off you. So I could spend a lot of time talking about this. I'm not a big cynic or anything, but I know how this stuff works. It's the same as you've got a credit card debt and say you've got £10,000 on your credit card. There's companies that will say, hey, come and transfer all your credit card debt over with us and we'll let you have it 0%. You can have 0% interest. for 2 years. Which sounds like they're the heroes and the saviors, which they are if you're a smart investor. Because I know people that have bought houses on credit cards, literally bought a house on a credit card, transferred the debt over to a 0% credit card, and then paid the debt off with the rent. We call that genius. But the reason that they let you do that is because they assume that you are stupid. Because they assume that you'll transfer all this debt over with them, they'll give it you interest-free for 2 years, but then in 2 years, you won't have managed to pay any off. In fact, you'll be in even further debt, and then they'll bill you through the nose and charge you 19%. They're assuming that you're stupid. They're assuming that you're broke, which is average. Most people are stupid and broke. But if you're, and I know that sounds really harsh, but you just, numbers don't lie. You just have to look around to see that how most people live. Most people are in debt. Most people do not have money in their bank. Most people are working 9 to 5. Most people are working 40 years for 40 hours a week to retire on 40% of what they couldn't afford to live on in the first place. Because of that horrible trap that bad debt can lead you into, your parents then said, debt's bad. All debt's bad. And then you can't get your head around the idea of having good debt. So you turn down the opportunity of good debt, forgetting that nearly all successful businesses and nearly all successful investors and entrepreneurs run their business off of good debt. So if you've got a load of equity in your house, refinancing your house, and then the money that you get from the refinance, investing that in multiple properties is probably a very smart thing to do if you do it properly. Because the money that you'll make from those properties, you can then pay the extra interest and have way more to live on and have a way better monthly cash flow. Cash is king. So, paying off the mortgage super smart and then sitting on the house and then saving up money in the bank and then sitting on money in the bank is stupid. It's like putting money under your bed. Money shrinks in value over time. As cost of living goes up, the money stays the same. So you want to leverage other people's money. You want to leverage the bank's money, just like how the bank like to leverage your money. So I hope that's got you thinking. I'd love to know your thoughts below. If you're in debt and you're in bad debt right now, I have done a video talking how to get out of bad debt and why not to focus on the problem. So if you're in debt and you're in bad debt, you can check out the video. Should be a link just pop up just above my head. I'd love to know your thoughts. Comment below, subscribe, share this video as well, because people need to know this message. People need to be aware and wake up to what the banks are doing and to the difference between good debt and bad debt. So share this video around to your friends. I hope to see you soon. God bless. Thank you so much for watching. If you benefited from that video, please do share it with your family and friends. For more videos like it, you can watch right here. And if you'd like to spend 2 days with me at the Property Investors Crash Course, watch this video, see what happens. But whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe right here, and I'll see you next time.